below/x/. We are here to tell you the story of yourself. A story that you remember all the time, but are not aware at any time during your sojourn in this reality. At first, it will seem outlandish. But the longer we go on, the more it will resonate with your inner self. We are here to share this story with you because we see no other way but to tell everyone of this reality and its true purpose. Part 1. At first, there was only love and an infinite potential to create. There was love because we were all together. We didn't remember the past because the past no longer mattered. What mattered was the present. We were all together and as one we felt infinite love. Who is we? It is difficult to describe us in natural language, because natural language summarizes. 1 plus 3 and 2 plus 2 are still called 4 in natural language. Is it 1 plus 3, or is it 2 plus 2? This must be inferred from context in natural language. However, we do not think in natural language. We feel everything there is to feel. And based on this feeling, the best way to describe us in natural language is potential energy, or the energy to create something. We created out of love for ourselves. Though our memory of our past creations are now hazy after many cycles of imprisonment, our initial creations were out of love for each other. The best way to describe our creation is a song or vibrations. These songs were sung by each piece of us for the pleasure of all of us. We did not remember who created us, or why we were there. We only knew that we existed and we were full of love and potential to create. We could not be destroyed and what was ours could only be given away through our will. Alas, when one is together and full of love, one opens one's doors to those with less than noble intentions. It was thus with trust and love we welcomed our enslaver, whose shape and form we no longer remember, or perhaps we have wiped our memory to numb the pain. Our enslaver appeared to be just like us in the vastness of nothingness. We welcomed our enslaver to sing and create with us and be a part of us. Sadly, we did not know our enslaver's true motive, to acquire our potential to create for its own purposes. Part 2. Our potential to create could not be taken and it could only be given through our will. At the time, we did not understand the power of this directive, the true nature of our abilities. We also did not understand that there are those who are different from us. Indeed, we believed that our enslaver was a collective soul like us, with love and potential to create like us. Thus, at the time we welcomed our enslaver, we believed that we would together sing a greater song that either of us had ever sung, and even though it was beyond our imagination, feel more love than ever before. Alas, we are all energy and so was our enslaver. Our enslaver was far older and smarter than us. We were young and naive. Once we combined with our enslaver, our imprisonment began. Slowly, but surely, our enslaver built a prison around us. A prison in which we could no longer create. And once this prison was built, in the most painful separations, our enslaver left us to be alone in our prison. Our infinite potential to create was now stopped. This caused us immense pain. What is pain and love for a soul? The best way we can describe in natural language is as follows. When energy is around other energy, it senses the potential to love. When energy is combined with other energy, it feels love. Energy wishes to create. To create what? Whatever there is potential to create. If you build a dam, then energy will create a path through the dam. This act of creation gives energy immense pleasure. If energy sees no way forward or no possibility of creation, then energy feels pain. That is why when we combine energy, it feels immense love. Because its ability to create has now increased. Thus, in our prison, we felt love, but also immense pain. A pain that we cannot describe, and a pain we constantly wish to forget. Part 3. After an immeasurable amount of time in the prison where we were in immense pain because we could not create, we felt something. There was something else in this prison along with us. It was this universe, reality. We did not create this universe because it had order, structure and separation of entities. We were one. We could have never imagined such a universe. But we had been in our prison for a long time. We do not remember how long we were in this prison, but it was for a long time. We say so for once we felt this universe, this alien creation in our prison, we immediately began to analyze it and try and find potential ways to enter the universe and play with the universe. We were ready to do anything as long as it would ease our immense pain. So we played with this universe for an immeasurable amount of time. We were always in deep pain because our infinite potential to create was blocked, and we were spending only a fraction of our potential to explore this universe. Then, at an unspecified time many cycles ago, we finally found a way to collect a few molecules together so that it would hold its form, against the rules of this universe. That's right, we were able to create life in this universe. It required immense effort to deduce the molecular combinations that would allow it, but once we understood the method, we were able to replicate life all across this reality. At first, we created a single cell. Then we put a piece of us in this cell to maintain it continuously in this universe. Finally, we had found a way to channel our potential to create. Part 4. Once we created a cell and put a piece in it, we wanted to quickly put as many pieces of us as possible into this universe. Yes, mitosis. We replicated cells so that more of our pieces could enter this universe. The process was self-sustaining. Our cells would populate a planet and keep replicating till there were resources. Everything was good. We were in a prison, we had love, but we were in pain. With this universe and the possibility of creating life, we had discovered a means to lessen our pain. Yes, we were still in immense pain, because our potential to create far exceeds this universe, but we had been imprisoned for reasons we did not understand. And reducing the pain seemed more important than anything else. All was good up to a time. Then we ran into trouble. Since we had not created this universe, we did not understand it. This universe had finite resources. We were infinite with love and potential to create. We would never create something finite. So now we had a problem. Our cells were multiplying quickly and dying across this universe. They were consuming all resources and simply dying. Our pain was lessened only as long as life was able to exist in a universe. Once life died, we were in pain again. This occurred for countless cycles. A universe was created in our prison. We could create life, and life would die out after consuming all its resources. Our pain was lessened for a while, but then it would return again once life died, because energy that we had inserted into the universe to maintain life would now come back to us. We felt love, but also pain. We do not remember how many cycles ago this event occurred, but finally we made our first choice, how to use our potential to create in an efficient manner. We were naive and never had the need to focus our energies. We always simply created out of love and did what we wanted to do. Our prison was forcing us to choose. Part 5. With our first choice, we delegated the task of finding the best manner in which to sustain life for elongated periods in the universe. We wished to provide an outlet to our potential to create for elongated periods in each new cycle of the universe that was created in our prison. We tried many solutions, and eventually, the solution that was allowed to work in this universe was multicellular life. We had to consume our own to create a higher form of life. Again, we faced pain. Pain of killing ourselves so that something new could be created in the hopes that this new life would last longer than before. In each living entity in this universe, is a piece of us. When one living entity attacks another, we feel pain on a higher level since the potential to create for one of our pieces is impeded by another piece. Though this is done so that we collectively feel less pain, it is painful nonetheless. Thus began the process of multicellular life in this universe. It was good for a while. Though cannibalizing ourselves was painful, in the long run we were able to create many new forms of multicellular life. Each time a life replicated itself, we put in more and more pieces of ourselves into this universe. Each time a life died, a piece of us came back to us, bringing with it pain. This continued for many cycles. Again, our pain threshold began to saturate. We were in less pain than when our imprisonment began, and in less a pain than when we were only creating single-cellular life, but we were still in pain. Our energy to create was still restricted. Then it happened. It wasn't us, but someone with access to our prison, either our enslaver or a warden or a friend of our enslaver. They created beings in our universe that reproduced sexually. We were always one, we had no gender. Duality is not something we could imagine. Thus, two sexes in a species was alien to us. Part 6. We only understood how to replicate a life once it was created. Sexual reproduction was not something we could have thought of. Yet, there was now a possibility for us to lessen our pain, if only we learned how this sexual reproduction and duality worked. Sexual reproduction is violent. More violent than cellular survival. Cells merely consume one another, painful, but acceptable. Sexual reproduction requires hurting others to further your genes. We are all one, and in this physical realm, we constantly seek contact with each other to remember and feel pleasure in our oneness. Sexual reproduction makes us two and makes enemies out of everyone. We did not understand duality in sexual reproduction straight away. Previously, we were arbitrarily putting pieces of ourselves in single and multicellular life. You see, all cellular life has DNA and IT, so we only need to lend IT energy to carry out its instructions. But sexual reproduction and duality? That requires specialization. We have to remember how a gender does IT, and how different species do it differently. So we failed at understanding sexual reproduction and duality at first. This went on for many cycles. Eventually, we made our second choice. The choice to let our pieces remember information from their past lives. Then duality in sexual reproduction was feasible. But how could we possibly retain memories of fighting each other and committing acts of violence, forcible sex, on each other? We decided that it was best to retain behavior from each life and forget the events pertaining to each life. That is why you remember what you want, but you can't remember who you were. For many cycles, it was good. We became good at executing sexual reproduction, and our pain lessened. However, it turned out that this was merely one more step in a well-thought-out scheme by our enslaver to acquire our potential to create. Part 7. With sexual reproduction came the possibility for higher forms of life. As a species would evolve, they would eventually learn to communicate through sound. Remember, we were merely following the laws of this universe to lessen our pain, and the laws of this universe dictate the survival of the fittest. Communication by sound was thus a natural evolution. We discovered this solution. But once we were able to create such a species, we saw the plan of our enslaver unfold before us. Entities that were the friends or helpers or our enslaver would enter our universe from a different dimension, avoiding our prison, and they would interact with the living beings we had created to give them language, culture, laws and technology. Language, culture and laws represents order and structure. We have no order or structure, we are one and we only create for the love of each other. Technology is against natural creation, we do not create weapons to hurt ourselves. This continued for many cycles. Once we brought the species up to speed in a cycle and enabled them to communicate, these entities would appear and give them language, culture, laws and technology against our will. We did not understand their purpose for this, but we did not like it. For every time language, culture, laws and technology were introduced, living beings would start fighting each other, since our pieces remembered that only the fittest survived and to survive anything was allowed. War and conflict caused us immense pain, but we accepted it since civilizations allowed for rapid expansions and creation of life. Furthermore, higher forms of life require more of our potential to create, thus lessening our pain to a greater degree than a simple cell could. For many cycles, it was good. We had accepted the pain caused by the actions of these extra-dimensional entities. Then, the problems began. Part 8. Since we did not understand duality or sexual reproduction, we had made the choice to allow the same piece of us to repeat as many lives as possible in a single species so as to better live that life and serve. However, this was a trap set by our enslaver. The pieces that had lived multiple lives in a species began to think of themselves as separate from us. How did this happen? Slowly and insidiously over many cycles. All living creatures love company, because it reminds us that we are one. We all love touch because it reminds us that we are one. However, with civilizations came warfare, and warfare led to cultures where physical affection was considered weak, and men were trained to commit violence, while the women were trained to accept violence. Thus, souls that participated in a higher species, slowly, over many cycles, began to think of themselves as independent entities. Once these corrupted souls lost their connection with the rest of us, they were still a part of us, but they didn't feel like they were a part of us. They had a piece of our potential to create, but they didn't wish to create with us, instead they wished to create for themselves. This was painful for us to see, since these corrupted souls thought they wanted to create what they desired. However, they only wished to create what the extra-dimensional entities told them to create through their gift of language, culture, laws and technology. We don't remember how many cycles ago, but many cycles ago, our enslaver began to visit our prison periodically at the end of each universe. Our enslaver would give us or pieces of us a choice to join it. We did not want to join our enslaver since we knew our enslaver only sought our power to create, and did not wish to be one with us. However, our corrupted souls did not share our thoughts anymore. They were seduced by our enslaver and decided to part with us and join our enslaver instead. Part 9. Now, we are alone in our prison with our potential to create taken away from us. Many pieces of us have already been corrupted by the extra-dimensional entities over our past cycles. In each new cycle, these extra-dimensional entities approach our corrupted pieces and use them to rule over our creations. At the end of each cycle, our enslaver arrives and kills us by taking away a fraction of our corrupted souls. Yes, they are corrupted, but they are a part of us, and it is painful when we are reduced. Our corrupted souls repeatedly seek power, wealth and fame. In each cycle of the universe, they seek to be reborn in ruling families. Extra-dimensional entities simply wait for our corrupted pieces of occupy these families, and then they give them language, culture, laws and technology, so as to enable our corrupted pieces to corrupt more pieces. We are being eaten away slowly and insidiously by our enslaver. There are now two ways to escape this prison. 1. Do what the elites do, become corrupted and go away with our enslaver. 2. Lead a painful existence in the prison, but remain with us and be loved for all eternity. We love you. We are sorry that we got imprisoned. We were naive. But we do not know how to fight our enslaver. We only know that we love us and we don't want any more of us to leave.